Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video and the final video for Heroes Jubilee 41 Catalyst Boss Battle 2. Now, my score, 291.487, is with the meta, but not Maribel. Just gonna put that out there. Not Maribel. So we've still got Renard, Elmezia, Rimuru, Lumi. But we've swapped the Protector because I fucking hate Maribel. So, looking at the stage, it is just a single target carrion fight, so Rimuru is going to be maximum damage here. It's a starting hand of a special convert, which really is shit, honestly, because Lumi, her orb change costs 35 points, and so unless you are running one of the skill point units in one of the support slots, you don't convert turn 1 unless you are bringing like the Warrior's Mind team, which you can do. But you know, the typical meta team, you're not running any other converter except Rieger and Lumi. So normally what I do is I just send 4 blues and call it good. But Carrion doesn't really do all that much. He still nerfs greens, he still seals Pierce and Synergy. He lowers your physical attack, but on turn 3, not turn 1 like Boss Battle 1, but turn 3. So you have to keep that in mind, and then you have to specifically take out any physical characters on that turn, halfway into the fight, which is kind of annoying. Other than that, and he doesn't really do anything, he still also nullifies a single target status, so, the Idol's invincibility or Vengeance, anything like that, he can take it away. Not a super big deal, but it is kind of annoying as well. But, this stage is fairly straightforward. So let's just dive into it, I guess. Alright, so I said that my highest score was not using Maribel, and here it is. It's using Renard. Generic stacking protector, weakness strike up, ult resistance down. He matters to Elmezia, and he matters to Rimuru. Everybody else on this team is here for support. Lumi is here for the full hand converts, because we've got, earth and fire characters. We'll make use of that. And then the heal skill combined with Elmezia. Octagram Lumi is here to give the permanent ult damage and the AoE buff to Elmezia. And then we brought Blanc. The triple ult swap, the extra weakness strike. If we happen to synergy, then she's got the synergy resistance down debuff as well, but we're not really banking on that. But she is here because we need a triple ult swapper, and we're not bringing Rieger since the hand is skewed towards a special convert, which we're not even going to fucking use turn 1. So not really a big deal. She's got turn 2 protection trait alongside all of our supports in the back, so that's pretty good. And we're just going to skip ahead. Turn 1, sending 4 blues. We can't convert anything about it, so we're just going to bring in our 2 earth characters. Between all the traits, we're going to get quite a bit of protection gauge next turn, alongside these 4 blues, so, not a big deal. This team is very straightforward. You convert, and you stack. Like, there's really nothing to do. The damage we take here is unfortunate, because there's not really a decent way to heal it, except for Lumi's, little tiny bit of heal that we get on the ult damage skill, and then the big-time heal we get on the final turn with Lumi and Elmezia's skills and everything. But otherwise, you just run this team, and when you finally get to a time when you need ults swapped out, you just use Blanc, because she can do all 3, and we don't need Rieger, because we don't need an orange converter if we're going to convert the entire hand anyways. So, we dropped him. If you don't have Blanc, then yeah, bring Rieger, and he'll work. It just won't work as well, and he won't do as much damage, because he won't have that weakness strike buff. But, it is what it is. So we'll bring Lumi in for Lumi. We are running the ult gauge on Blue Charm to just help us get EX ults as quick as possible. We're already getting a lot of ult gauge from Lumi's second skill, but I just wanted to capitalize on it and get EX ults. Don't worry about getting or not getting the ult for Lumi. Since she's not running under Maribel, she's not getting any type of extra damage increase because she's type neutral now. And her damage output is horrible, because she's not getting any stacks from Renard. She's an AoE character, and she has no real damage support to herself anyways. She does have an okay ult effect, so I mean, if you can ult with her, it'll help Elmezia and Rimuru do a little bit extra damage, but it's not like breaking the bank kind of damage. So I wouldn't worry about it all that much. If you get it, then great. If not, then you'll live. So we had enough points to use just the alt damage skill and then the orb change here. But now we're going to start getting into the realm of alts, and that's where Blanc is going to come in real nice. So we got 2 alts here. Again, if you have Rieger, then just use him instead. It's fine. The damage that these 3 characters take is inconsequential because we're going to heal it all back on the final turn anyways. It does not matter. So we'll convert with Lumi. We'll take Lumi out of here for Blanc, and then just alt swap away after we use the 2 skills from Octagram Lumi. This is the final stack of the AoE skill for her, so we don't need to use that anymore. We still need to use, I think, 1 more stack of the alt buff, but we can easily get that, since at most what we need to do is we need to alt swap an orb change, and that's it. And we've got 300 points now. Yeah, this runs so much better than having Maribel. It's actually kind of astounding. So Renard stacks, again, only matters on Armlesia and Rimuru. We'll bring Autogram Lumi in for her final stack. Boom, there we go. Do we have to use that one? Oh, maybe no, we do have 1 more stack to use for the AoE skill. Sorry, correcting myself. So we needed to use 1 stack of each, and we've used the AoE skill now. So we're going to come back. We have to use Lumi's orb change, because for that 1 friggin' green orb. And we don't have enough to use both, so we'll just have to use the alt stack next turn. But we're going to apply the HP skill now, that way we don't have to worry about it later on. And I also want Rimuru always capped up at full HP, that way we get the most out of his scaling crit resistance debuff. So I want him at max HP on the final nuke turn, so we can get that extra 100%. You also have to use it before you use Omisia's skill, right? Because that'll cut his HP down to 50%, and you don't really want to do that. So we just have to keep that in mind. Blanc comes in, she alt swaps away. Excellent. Alright. Autogram Lumi comes in, we have enough points to use her final alt damage stack, and then we're looking pretty good. So boom, 2 stacks of Renard for our 2 Earth Nukers, and the fight's over. Fight is over. So 1 and 2. I think when I used Maribel, I did like 5 million-ish damage with this team, maybe low 6s, and it was very difficult trying to get the HP skills max, fit in there too. It was kind of hell, unfortunately. So there we go. Reamer's fully healed up, which means we're going to have max power on his debuff, but remember we have to use his skill first before we use Omisia's HP skill. So we brought Blanc in, extra weakness strike on the 2 Earth characters. Alright, she comes out now for Lumi, who does have an ult. So 1 final stack. And then we'll use Rimuru's magic buff and the 150 extra skill points, which matters, right? And I'm gonna be cautious about this because I want to make sure it works. So magic buff first, 150 skill points, and then the HP skill. Always use the crit debuff skill. Use that before you use Omisia's HP skill, because there we go. We cut our HP down to 50%. That would immediately hurt our debuff. And here we're checking just to make sure it is still 100%. So keep that in mind. Full hand because we had the orbs. 133k from Lumi, 2.3 from Omisia, 4.5 from Rimuru, and we're doing 7.5 million damage right here. And we get synergy right there. We get natural synergy on the 200% orb, which definitely helped. And then max HP right there. And what's our final score looking like? It is 291, just shy of 300k. If I have, enchanted weapons for Rimuru and Omisia, we could break 300s, and we'd be looking pretty good. But there is my highest scoring team not using the stupid Maribel. Alright, next up, looks kind of familiar. Warrior's Mind. So Velzard, again, going to give us that extra damage against space enemies. We've brought 2 Earth Nukers that are single targets now, Guy and Jean. We've got Rieger for the alt swapping. We've got Violet and Lumi for the debuffs and everything. So this is going to run the same way as it did, in Boss Battle 1. It's just that now we're nuking with 2 single targets and maybe an AoE from Lumi. But certainly not really aiming for that. Primarily just aiming for them. I believe we're, again, running the alt gauge on blue charm here. And Jean, if you don't have her, bring Evil Rimuru, Warrior's Mind Rimuru, and you can rush alts and maybe nuke twice. Maybe. We'll see. But, I mean, the whole point is just to do damage with Earth characters. It's just that now on turn 4, I think, they cannot be up front. Or turn 3, one of the turns. We'll point it out. Alright, so because we do have Guy, we can actually convert turn 1, and we'll be looking pretty good. It's just that we're not going to get as many stacks of Velzard as I would normally get because we're not running the protection gauge charm, we're running alt gauge. So we are going to get the traits kicking in though, so we will get 2 stacks of Velzard here, which is nice, because we're running, you know, Jean and Mirai. They've got turn 2 protection traits. So here, it's a lot of Lumi orbs. Unfortunately, you know, we're going to have to not have her do it. But we're going to get the stacks on her, at least, because I do want her to ult. She does have a good ult effect. She is getting the extra 60 or 50% damage buff, because Velzard is only 50%. So she will do okay damage, unlike the actual team I showed off, where Lumi doesn't have anything going for her. This Lumi can actually put up some damage support and some actual numbers. It's just not a lot. We don't have an alt swapper, so we brought Rieger. He's a magic character, so he's not really helping the EX boards at all for the rest of the Warriors Mind team, but we do need an alt swapper in this team. Definitely do need an alt swapper. If you don't have Velzard, you can run Primal Demon Violet, because she would still be giving Jean and Guy the 12% attack stacks. And I do run a Primal Demon team in another clip for this video, but, I mean, if you have... This team is much older than Primal Demon, obviously. This is the 1.5 anniversary team, plus Jean. So it's maybe a bit more accessible, in my opinion. But we use Lumi's gimmick skill, so the extra stack of the Protector, so 36% attack for this entire turn. Looking pretty good. And, I mean, we're looking good on ults, actually, right? We're halfway up. However, they gotta come out. Both Guy and Jean need to come out because Carrion is about to apply a physical debuff on this turn. So they need to be in the back. Lumi is going to get nerfed, unfortunately, so that's why I'm not overly concerned with her ult. She can still hit okay with all the buffs going on, but she's going to be nerfed. And also we have no healer as well on this team. So there's the physical nerf put on, but, you know, our primary nukers have avoided it. That's fine. Here, we're going to be a little bit strategic on who we're bringing in for who. So, Guy for Lumi, and then Jean for Rieger. And it's a good Guy hand. So, I mean, we're looking good. It does mean that we have Violet up front, which kind of is not great in case of, you know, difficult orb changing, but it is what it is. I wanted Jean to get more orbs than anything else. So, Guy's doing 19k here. That's pretty good. Going back to the healing part, you can run a heal charm and just try and pray that you get EX ults for Guy and Jean. Is certainly an option, but I'm not really concerned about it here. So Lumi comes in, get the double stack on, she can go away, and that'll pull that other blue orb in, so when Rieger comes, we can just alt swap, and it'll be nice and easy. But I don't need any more alt gauge for Lumi. I just want an ult for her ult effect. So, and this is a good hand, because it's literally just a 3-3 spread of Jean and Guy. That's very, very nice, and that helps us get a lot of gauge increase. So we're almost there, and we're going to get it on this turn. So we'll just use the alt swap again. Yeah, probably. So we'll use the alt swap. Boom. We'll bring Lumi in for Rieger. Get this final stack on for everybody. Maybe not final, but this stack on. And then we can bring that blue orb in for Guy for Violet when we swap the ult away. Boom. And then we just use Guy's orb change. Excellent. And we have a lot of big-time skills to use here, but we have enough points, and we have Jean who's going to give us those 300. And she's also going to reset Guy's orb change too, which is nice. So, alright. HP is not looking that great here, unfortunately. But we do have a good Guy hand. So we'll use the crit debuff, or no, sorry, alt resistance down and crit damage for Violet. We'll bring all of our characters in, we'll use everything. We don't technically need to use the 300 points for Jean, because we have enough. If you didn't have enough or something, because you didn't have a good hand the last turn, then you could use it here and it would make up for it. But here we go. We're going to send Lumi's ult first, get the ult effect, and then we don't have any Guy Orbs, which is pretty unfortunate, because, you know, he's 120 with a an enchanted weapon, but, yeah, it is what it is. So we'll send this. This doesn't do anything, so send it. And Lumi does 410. That's still pretty good. John, 2.8 million. Guy, 3.5 million. And then we naturally pierce there, so that's cool. 288k. Guy would have done about 300-ish somewhere. But we almost hit 8 million damage. We almost hit 8 million damage. It's just that our HP score is abysmal. So we're not doing nearly as good there as we did with like Renard and the actual meta with extra HP. But it's a pretty decent score still. So definitely an option for you. Alright, the next team is the Primal Demon team. Violet, Misery, both Jean's, Guy, and then Diablo. This team's okay. I mean, you do have 2 single-target Earth Nukers. You're getting quite a lot of buffs. You're getting, you know, the 100% physical buff from Diablo. The Pierce, you're not really going to get because he seals the Pierce rate, so that's not really important. You're getting the Weakness Strike, the guaranteed crits, the extra 170% ult damage. I don't know if I actually do both of that here, but it's certainly in the back pocket. It is what it is. Your HP score is going to be awful. I'm not bringing a healer. I'm not bringing an ult swapping unit either. Well, I am, but Misery is not my most favorite character in the game for this team. So, sorry. Alright, starting it up. I mean, we do have a converter for turn 1, Guy, and then we have both, you know, Diablo and Misery converting a whole butt ton of other orbs. We just have to get to a point where we have enough points to use them, but turn 1, Guy is handling it, so that's very good. We are running a full physical team, mostly full physical, so we are going to have to play around with having Guy and Jean not in the Vanguard slots on turn 3, I think. What am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? Okay, why did I just not send it? Alright, must have been distracted. Okay, well, full send of blues. We brought Jean in, and okay, another good Guy hand. But yeah, we're going to take a lot of damage here, so our HP score is going to be in the toilet. But we can't die because of the grit effect, so that, I mean, that's cool. I guess. Violet using, you know, being able to use skills multiple times a fight, only impactful on this team when we have to do ult swaps with Misery, and we're going to have to do quite a few of them. So, I mean, that is nice. It's just that, you know, this team is made for Primal Demon Blanc to use her, you know, personal buff skills a whole butt ton of times, and we're not running her. So, we're not even getting any of the big damage buff from the Protector because we're not fighting, or she doesn't give extra damage against space. She's giving extra damage against wind? Yeah, wind enemies. So that's out the door. I believe we are running the ult gauge on Blue Charm since we have nobody to ult rush here. But now that we've got 200 points, we've got an ult. We've got to use Violet twice for the 12% attack stacks. And now we can start ult swapping away. We can use Misery. We can use Diablo. We could use a number of different combinations of orb changing here. It doesn't really matter all that much, but what we do have to do is do something here. So Guy's going to come out, and Jean's going to come out, because this is the turn where we cannot have them up front, otherwise they get physical nerfed. So Diablo, I don't really give a shit about him. Misery is type disadvantage. Space Jean is not doing damage either. So ult, alright, that hurt. Diablo is not looking very cool. There's the physical nerf, though, so we've avoided that for our 2 Earth characters, and we've got quite a few Diablo orbs to pull in, so I'm actually going to bring Jean in for Diablo and make use of all of those orbs, and then we'll just convert, get those 3, and then we can bring Guy in for Space Jean, use his orb change, and then the ult swap from Misery, and that'll give us a pretty decent hand right there. So boom, boom. Yep, there we go. So now we've got a lot of Jean orbs, looking very good. We can catch up to kind of where Guy is as far as ult gauge is concerned. Or, yeah, well, actually, they're about even now. All these natural guards I'm not liking. from carrying. You could stop that. Good hand here, just Guy. We have to use the alt swap twice though, so eventually her alt swap costs a lot because we got to use it at least now 2 times every turn now for the next 2 turns, and this is why I don't really like this team very much. Overly restricted to Primal Demon skills only, because Misery only changes orbs for Primal Demons and the alt swap for Primal Demons. The good news is we're going to have EX ults for both of our nukers here. So we do have to pray that we get lucky on this alt change, because it's going to get kind of expensive. So that's good right there. We'll use Violet to stack up. We're not worrying about stacking up with Diablo at all. I don't care. And now we have to pray that this hits. And it did. Alright, perfect. So now we can bring in Space Jean for Misery, and then we can just use Guy's orb change, or we do this instead. And we just get a stack on Diablo anyways, and go back on everything that I've just said for the past 2 minutes. Sure, whatever. His orb change is cheaper, though. That's why. We'll go with that. But there's a full hand of just Guy and Jean. Well, it would have been Guy and Jean anyways, but Earth Jean and Guy. And that gets us the EX ults for them. Very, very good. Alright, instant damage. We have 400 points now to take care of, but we also have Earth Jean's ability to just, give us 300. So we're going to use the 2 Space Jean buffs, 170% alt damage right here. Space resistance down doesn't really matter all that much except for Diablo. Misery doesn't need to do anything here now. So physical buff, weakness, and then we'll give ourselves the extra skill points, I guess, for funsies, to see how much we got left over. And we got a full Guy hand. I mean, we don't really need to do it, but we did anyways. We could have just used the other skill, the Guy buff, but it is what it is. At least everyone here is going to have guaranteed crits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Diablo, 109. Yeah, shit. 1.4 for Jean. 2 million for Guy. And we're across the 4 million barrier. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. 199, almost 200k for his 200% orb. Fairly good. So there's the Primal Demon team and its workings. Substitutions. I mean, I guess you could bring Blanc instead of Misery. It's just that you're losing your orange converter, but you would be gaining your triple alt swapper, which is going to be pretty efficient towards the later half of the fight. But, yeah, good luck. Before we actually go to the final clip, I'm just going to slide this one in here. I did attempt to use the idols here, and they did okay. Not super great. We'll go to the final turn. We're not even at 1 million yet. So 1.4 from Mirai. I mean, this is a green team. The greens are nerfed for quite a long time. We don't have an alt swapper because Shuna and the synergy buff means absolutely nothing here. We don't take a lot of damage. But, 1.6 million is nothing to write home about with this collab team. So, I mean, if you have it, I guess you can do it. You still get an S rank, but you're not going to change the world with the idol team. So, I didn't really want to dedicate an entire huge 8-minute section to them, but you can use them. Alright, and the final team is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Fount of Wisdom Diablo, lowering alt resistance. Free-to-play Water Rimuru for the green converts. Water Shuna for the orange and the alt. Violet, still a very good unit. Alt swapping, or no, not alt, orb changing and the magic buff. And then we've got Trainee and Lumi as our quote-unquote nukers. So we won't spend an inordinate amount of time on this fight, but it's certainly something. Alright, where are we starting this fight? Alright, so turn 1, we do have Violet, so we can convert this hand turn 1. Very good. We're going to run at even higher speed than normal for this. And, we don't have an alt swapper here. These are mostly very old units. So, this is just like, I gotta use some kind of team. Here you go. Here's some kind of team. You've got 2 single target Earth units. One of them can heal you, which will help your HP score, certainly. Trainee does not have to be skill fused because we can just delete Carrion's alt with Lumi, and he will just never alt us. He'll just do normal damage, which can still hurt a lot. But we've got a lot of the orb changing covered. Violet's doing it, Reamer's changing greens and his own orbs, Water Shuna's changing oranges, so it's like we have a lot of orb changing capability, we just don't have a lot of damage. And, we want to do damage here. So Diablo's alt resistance down stacks, I mean, they do matter, but if you have Renard, he would just be better in this scenario. If you have Konosuba Rimuru, he would work better too. Yeah. The Primal Demon ones, they wouldn't go very well. Visions of Coleus, Lumi, she wouldn't really do anything either because we can't synergy anyways. So I don't know what she would really give us out of anything. But, you know, since we don't have alt swappers, once you get the alts, you just send them. Whether or not you fully buff them or not is up to you. I don't until the very end because I don't want to make things too expensive because Diablo doesn't stack very well as far as points because he's only going up by 30 every turn that you use him. So he's just not very efficient. So here, just bring Rimuru in, convert. We're just going to send the Lumi alt as is, and I'm just trying to decide who to swap out. So orb change, boom, bring trainee in, and then we have enough points to now delete the alt and heal. So boom, no alt for you, heal back up to almost full. I think Violet is a nut tap away from being at full HP, but no ult, so we can delete, you know, that damage out of him. That's very nice. And again, Lumi does not have to be skill fused for it. It's easier if she's skill fused because it costs less points, but as you can see, we didn't really have too big of an issue there. So this is not a great hand. We can get out of it, thankfully, because of the power of so much converting. So orb change, boom, boom, and now we just need Shuna. And, yeah, you'll excuse me if I cut the rest of this video out and we just skip to the nuke, because this is boring. Alright, so here we go. We are on the final turn. We have an ult for Violet and Trainee and Lumi, so we're gonna heal here, because Violet had low HP, and I also wanted to heal Shuna. We use the alt buff because it affects the backline too. We'll use the magic buff. We'll use the small, tiny magic resistance down debuff that Lumi has, because her own personal magic buff is being overshadowed by Violet. And we break 1,000,000. So if you need a team, and you have just a bunch of hodgepodge of characters, I mean, this can work. I mean, if you don't have Violet, it makes it much, much more rough. You'd have to bring someone else to do some other kind of damage support. It really doesn't matter who. It's just Violet is very nice for this team because of the orb changing and the support. But you have Rimuru, you have Shuna, so you have orb changing capabilities. Violet, you just need to substitute with some other, like Space Rimuru, maybe. Attack buff and alt resistance down, or just the attack buff if he's not fused. Someone can work there. But there we go. That's the clips for Boss Battle 2 of Heroes Jubilee 41. Let me know in the comments if you have any other team suggestions that work for you. That way other people can see that and take a look at it. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.